What's up guys, it's Meg and welcome back to Meg After Dark. Today we're talking about the mid-season finale for season 7 of The Walking Dead. I know this is a very late video. I thought about not even making it, but a couple of you have asked if I'm still going to do it, so yes, here I am. The reason it's so late, God, a lot of you know that I started a new job. Let me just tell you a secret. I hate it. It's literally the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I hate working nights, and I'm just very overwhelmed, to be honest with you. Right now I'm just very, very overwhelmed. And Christmas is in like 3 days, 4 days, something like that. 5 days. I am so sorry. I just cannot get my shit together, to be honest with you. I am also looking for a new job. So my life is kind of a mess right now. I also just woke up, so that's why I look like gross right now. Let's not make this video long though. I appreciate your concern, but let's get right into the amazing mid-season finale of The Walking Dead. I was so thrilled with this episode. It so exceeded my expectations. With every single moment of the episode. It was so well done, and I absolutely loved, I've said this before, but I always have wished that The Walking Dead was a little bit more like Game of Thrones with the style of how they film. So for example, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, in almost every episode we get to see multiple characters and in different parts of the Game of Thrones world, and it kind of leaves you feeling more satisfied at the end of each episode because you know what everyone's doing. And the one thing that kind of tends to bother me with The Walking Dead is that you tend to not see people for a really long time. For example, we saw Carol in episode 2, and then we never saw her again until the finale, the mid-season finale. And you know, there's 8 episodes there where you kind of wish that you could see the characters that you really like, and I really like Carol. So, you know, I've been a little bit sad throughout this first half of the season where you're just not really seeing everyone you want to see. But nevertheless, all of the episodes have been really good. I haven't been disappointed yet. It's just one of those things that I wish they would do more of. So when I saw the season finale, or the mid-season finale, excuse me, I'm probably gonna mess that up more in this episode, but I was so thrilled with the fact that we pretty much got to see everyone, right? I mean, except Heath. Heath is kind of out in like nowhere land. We don't know where he is, but we got to see everyone, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great combination of comic scenes and comic moments, and then unexpected surprises, not only for shock but for additional storyline in the second half of season 7. So it was very satisfying in that respect, where not everything was straight from the comics. And I should say there may be slight comic spoilers in this review, so beware if you haven't read it, but I'm not going to say spoiler every single time I say something, so nothing too big. So I want to start out with talking about Rick and Aaron. They survived Walker Lake. I loved the moment where Aaron falls overboard and we are all like freaking the hell out, wondering if he's gonna survive or not. And I thought, that's gonna be the unexpected casualty, is gonna be freaking Aaron. And I really got upset for a moment, thinking, oh my gosh, is he really gonna die right now? But he pulled through, and I really like Rick and Aaron hanging out together. They both get each other. The conversation between them about Aaron understanding why Rick is complying with Negan, because he was there, he saw the brutality of what happened, and he gets it. I think Rick really needed that in that moment, because so far everyone has been questioning him as to why he's not wanting to fight back, and I think it was nice for him to be able to have kind of a friend in that moment who understood why he was doing what he was doing. And at first I was very disappointed that they found all of these weapons, all of these guns. They didn't have ammunition, but they found all of these weapons, and knowing that they had lost all of their weapons back at Alexandria, it was a little disappointing for me that they didn't set some aside somewhere, hide some, like think to do that. And then I had to tell myself, well, in this moment, Rick is still complying with Negan. He's still thinking that if he does everything just right, they will live some semblance of a normal life, and Negan will honor their agreement, you know, and he won't hurt anyone else. And unfortunately, when they get back to Alexandria, Rick very quickly realizes that that's not the case. He did everything right. He did everything that was expected of him. You know, he went out, he found stuff, he brought it back, and still people died. And I think that we needed to see Rick not putting guns aside. We needed to see him fully complying in order for him to then realize, after coming back and finding Olivia dead, finding Spencer dead, seeing the Eugene get hauled away, you know, seeing the destruction that Negan has caused in the short amount of time that Rick was gone, was really, he needed to comply, and then he needed to see that even when he complied fully, this kind of shit still happens. And in order for him to make that decision to fight back, rise up. And so I really appreciated that. I liked that whole storyline. And then when Aaron comes back and he gets beat up and he says, "My heart's still beating." Oh, I love those moments. It's just such an amazing emotional show, isn't it? We also, before they get back to Alexandria, we see an unknown person watching them, and we don't know who this is, and it's a very unexpected surprise for comic readers, because you know, quite a bit of what we see is kind of along this comic storyline, but I love that The Walking Dead always kind of throws in something unexpected for you, some new people, or you know, kind of like how the twist on Terminus, how different it was from the comics. You know, there's just it's very exciting, and it definitely keeps us on our toes. So as far as this new person, and at the end of the episode, hopefully you guys have all seen it by now, but there was after the credits rolled, there was an end scene of this person, this unknown person, had followed Rick and Aaron back to Alexandria, kind of opening up a storyline, and kind of for the second half of season 7. Like, who is this person? What are they doing? Are they bad guys? Are they guys that could potentially help? I will say that somebody posted a spoiler in my comments section, and I don't know for sure that it's a spoiler, but it's one of those things where when you read it, you're like, I don't think anybody would be able to make that up. That sounds very legit. So that was unfortunate. I will say, I won't explain the spoiler, but I will say that I believe, based on that this group is a good group that could potentially help Rick out, be an additional group, but I don't know for sure, to be honest with you. The spoiler didn't necessarily say those specifics, but it was kind of one of those things where you read it and you're like, you didn't make that up. You know, kind of like when someone told me that Spencer was gonna drive a truck was going to hit Alexandria, or not Alexandria, but hit the bell tower, and Spencer was gonna, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's totally a spoiler. There's no way you just predicted that. This is one of those things. So it'll definitely be an interesting episode, that's for sure. In the preview for the mid-season premiere, we also kind of saw Rick walking, and he looks to the side and there's a walker with like all sorts of like things sticking out of him and stuff, and it was very creepy, and you're kind of like all excited watching the preview, and you're like, wait, what did I just see? What was that? And I think that probably has to do with this person who's watching. I also think this person who was watching is a girl. The boots were very big, but they were tied around the ankle and looked rather loose, and I believe that they were tied really tight around the ankle to keep them on, so I kind of have a feeling it's a woman. Moving forward, before this gets crazy long, back to Alexandria, before Rick arrives, we have poor Olivia, and she's kind of forced to entertain Negan, provide him dinner and lemonade, and you can see that she's really struggling. She has a conversation with Tara, but she's trying to be strong, and this was one of those moments where I really felt for Olivia, just so much. And especially when she kind of rubbed the side of Tara's face when Tara mentioned Denise, and there was just that heartfelt moment, and you're really feeling for her because you know how terrifying it must be to have Negan in your home, and also calling you names and fat and all that shit. But you know, she's never really had to be like a strong person, and she is determined to maintain her composure and protect Judith, and I just really loved that about her. And so unfortunately, I think that the writers knew, we all knew that Spencer was gonna die, even non-comic book readers expected it. You know, it was a very expected death. And so I feel like they kind of, the writers kind of wanted to throw in something unexpected there for shock value. And Olivia has been kind of one of those characters where she's a background character, you know, you see her here and there. Sometimes she provides a little comic relief, you know, at her expense from Negan, but you don't see a lot of her. And then of course they start showing you a bit more in this episode so that you feel sorry for her. And then they just go and kill her. And I'm just sad that they chose to end her story so quickly in the TV show when she lasted for so long in the comics. I don't know, it just kind of bothered me because I was really enjoying her. But that is how it goes on The Walking Dead, isn't it? As soon as you start liking someone, they end up dying. Anyways, let's talk about Spencer, since I just brought Spencer up. As a comic fan, I could not be happier with the way Spencer's death happened. I loved that they pulled the pool table out and the conversation that they were having, and Spencer just seemed so sleazy. And all of Negan's, oh, I'm shaking the camera, all of Negan's lines that he delivered were just gold. I mean, they were just, as a comic fan, but even not as a comic fan, I think that moment where he says, you know what I think, cause you got no guts, and then he just, you know, spills his guts, and then the whole, I couldn't be more wrong, it was just amazing. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I mean, oh my gosh, did you ever expect the man to do that well as Negan? I mean, I was very thrilled when we discovered he was gonna be the actor, but I had no idea that he would play Negan so well. And I just, every time I hear these iconic comic phrases, it just blows my mind because they're delivered so well. And I just couldn't have been happier with the way Spencer went out. It was just, and the guts, I mean, everything, it looked great. Never thought I'd say that about guts spilling out onto the ground, but they looked great. Let's talk about Daryl escaping. You know, this whole time I've been really worried that he was not actually ever going to escape the sanctuary. I kind of felt like they were channeling a bit of Beth's storyline with the hospital, and how right as she was going to escape and be rescued, she died. And I was just very concerned that they were moving that way with Daryl. And we kind of see him hanging out in Dwight's room, eating some food, dressing like Dwight, kind of turning the tables on Dwight there. And we see him escape out the back door. He's about to get on the motorcycle, and Fat Joey comes. And it was kind of a crazy moment, because you almost feel sympathy for Fat Joey, because he is kind of well, he makes himself out to be kind of a victim of Negan. We're all just trying to survive here. And when Daryl hits him initially, I don't think that Daryl was intending to be so brutal and intending to kill him the same way Negan killed Abe and Glenn. I really don't think it was headed that way. And then as he did it, kind of the rage and the pent-up anger and the hurt and of being tortured, essentially, and the anger of seeing Glenn murdered right in front of him, you know, and probably a little bit of guilt there, feeling like it was his fault. And all of that rage and just pent up feelings just poured out of him, and he just beat Fat Joey the exact same way Negan did. And I kind of liked that, I don't know what the right word is, but almost that shadowing of from the season premiere to the season finale, and we kind of see this same kind of death in there. I really enjoyed that. Jesus pops out of nowhere, and they both escape together. They also steal one of the radios that will help them in the future against the sanctuary. And then we don't know that he's back at the hilltop, which I'm not ready to talk about the hilltop yet, but loved that we actually got closure, that we saw him arrive back at the hilltop. But first I want to talk about Michonne, and she had a whole storyline in this episode as well. She captures a woman savior and forces the woman to take her back to the sanctuary, and she sees just how big, how huge, bigger than they ever expected the sanctuary really is. And I kind of liked Michonne because you don't really know, you think she's kind of going into this with the attitude of she almost doesn't care if she dies. You know, she wants revenge. She's kind of, the way she's so confident in walking, like with the walkers behind her and stuff, but you kind of feel like she's walking in a way where she's got nothing to lose. And I don't know if that's just me reading into it weird or not, but I enjoyed kind of the change in her, that once she saw how big the sanctuary really was, she ended up going back. You know, she wasn't going to do anything crazy. She ended up going back to Rick, and they, at that point, when she goes back, Rick has already made the decision that they have to fight back anyways. But she doesn't know this, and she comes back and she's telling him what she saw, and that she wants to fight, but she's not going to do it without him by her side. And these Michonne moments, I love them so much. I really love them so much. And I love that they make that decision together, that they're gonna fight back, that it's time, that they are not going to do this anymore with Negan. It was very, very beautiful moment for me to see them. Carol and Morgan and Richard. I can't say I'm surprised that Carol and Morgan said no to helping Richard, but I will say that I was hopeful. I was really hopeful, but Carol's not at that point yet. And I don't know if she ever will be. And I'm kind of, I really just don't know what to expect from Carol and Richard, or not Carol and Richard, from Carol and Morgan when All Out War comes. I really don't know what to expect, and I keep thinking, I know Carol, she'll come back to us and be the Carol we know, but I don't know that I see it going that way anymore. I find myself really liking Richard. Wasn't sure about him at first, and you can just tell that he just so desperately, he's lost his family to this world, and he just so desperately wants to fight back against Negan, and he has this hope. He's seen Carol and Morgan, and he sees the relationship they're building, although Carol's not trying to build it, but he sees the relationship between Ezekiel and both of them, and he sees an opportunity to convince them to help convince Ezekiel to fight back against the Saviors. And he's not super worried about the loss of life that would come with potentially fighting back, because he's very just, he's very single-minded at this point in time where he knows what he wants. He also doesn't really have anything personally to lose because his family is already dead. And when they tell him no, you see him retreat back to this trailer hidden in the woods, and you kind of get the feeling that maybe this was the trailer that he came to the kingdom in with his family, or after his family died. You kind of get the feel that this is maybe where they lived in this end time kind of thing. And he just breaks down crying, and in that moment you just really feel for him, because you kind of feel like he had this hope, and then he's just lost it, and he feels kind of hopeless now after realizing that they're not going to help, and angry about it. And I'm kind of excited to see where he goes in future episodes. I kind of like him, you know, I really do. Although it kind of looks like he always has eyeliner on, right? And then as far as Carol and Morgan, I just don't know what to expect from them in this war. If you guys have any thoughts on how they will both participate, let me know, because by the end of their meeting, Carol was like, Morgan, pretty much don't come back here, and don't tell anyone else that I'm alive. If you see anyone from our group, don't tell them you know where I'm at. Like, she doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. And I just want her, when they come to the kingdom, I just want them to like unexpectedly see her, you know, like maybe Rick and group are walking by her house or something, and they don't know that's where she lives, and she pops out to do something and they see her. I don't know. I want Daryl and her to be reunited, and just, you know, I don't know. I just want my Carol back. Let's talk about Maggie at the hilltop. I love the opening scene. She's at Glenn's grave, and then she goes up to the fence, and she's kind of surveying everything. She's keeping watch. She's really taking charge in making sure that the security of the hilltop is a priority. And we see these interactions with Gregory, and he's just the worst, isn't he? He's just the worst. And I love how Maggie does not hesitate to stand up to him or to call him out on his bullshit, you know? And she's like, it kind of seems like it bothers you. And I just love it. I love it so much, and I can't wait for her to become the leader of the hilltop. I'm just itching for it so hardcore right now. And then at the end of the episode, we open the episode with her, and then we close the episode with her looking out, you know, surveying the land and seeing Rick and the group coming, and she's just so happy. And I just kind of love that, where it brought it all home. We started at the hilltop and the episode ended at the hilltop. The reuniting of our group, I mean, wasn't that such a beautiful moment? It really was. And seeing Daryl come around the corner and Rick, and I'm gonna cry just thinking about it, because I just, oh, it reminded me of the moment when Rick is reunited with Carol and Judith, and Carol and Daryl reunite in the after Terminus. And it's just one of those moments where you don't really feel like you get those very often in The Walking Dead, because everything is so tense, and we have wins and we have losses, but it's not always such a beautiful, like, reuniting moment. And I just, oh, and Daryl handing back his Colt Python, I just, I love it so much. And then their walk up to Gregory's house was just so confident and determined, and like they knew what they needed to do and they were gonna go in there. And I kind of think that probably in the second half of the season we're gonna see that maybe the meeting doesn't go so well with Gregory, but we will talk about the previews for the mid-season premiere another time. So that is the end of my review. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you leave comments down below what your favorite part was of the episode, or if you have any predictions for the mid-season premiere. If you think you know what the mystery person is, please remember that this channel is spoiler free of filming spoilers and any like set sightings, or you know, anything that has to do with filming of the second half of season 7. I don't want to know any filming spoilers whatsoever. So please don't put any of that in the comments. And if you do, please make sure that you write spoiler really big ahead of time, so that people have an opportunity to decide whether or not they want to read the spoilers. That's just the worst, when someone posts a spoiler and they don't even like warn you that that's what they're gonna do. Because I always read all your guys' comments, and I know I haven't replied lately because I've just been so busy and life is just insane, but I still read them. And so it's super frustrating when I'm all happy reading the comments and then I just see like, this happens and that's this person. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, do you not think that maybe not everyone wants to hear spoilers? I'm sure you guys have come across that, right? Reading people's comment sections and seeing spoilers on accident. It's like it's literally the worst when you hate spoilers. So please help keep this channel spoiler free, and let me know what you would like to see on this channel for the break, for the mid-season break. We're definitely going to do a predictions video. If you want to do more Q&As, feel free to leave questions as well, or if you have other topics you'd like me to talk about, let me know and we'll make some more videos. That is it. This is a very long video again. I try to keep it short, but man, I don't know when to shut up, right? Hope you guys have a great night. I love you. Goodbye.